Are you hot?
No, I'm not.
No, I don't mean hot, I mean the camera hot.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we're on.
going in here. First thing to look at is this floor that I made. Whenever I go into a mine, I got a digging iron and I'm always tamping on the flat ground. Because if it's solid, I don't worry about it. If it's hollow, I dig it up. Now this cavern goes down 12 feet and back 20 feet. And I found all the original tools from 150 years ago that were laying down here. There's 2 drills, a dozen drill bits, tips for the drills, found kerosene containers, kerosene lanterns, an original miner's lamp, the type that made the marks down there at the deadhead, the Carbide lamps. So I just put this over there to show people where I found the original equipment come from, and we can show you that when we get back down to the shop. But look at the ceilings here. This is all crazy. This is all natural cavern.
Amazing.
Just watch your step. And all above us, you can see some of here about 20 feet high. There's a shaft that parallels this, which is 20 feet higher, which is still unexplored. Low ceiling coming up. Caverns back here, 15 feet high, that are still unexplored, runs the full length of the shaft, 200 feet.
Give you an idea how thin that is. And that's the shaft. Tunnel up there is not explored.
This is one of the prized places in the mine shaft here, because if you look straight up overhead, you got 1/2-inch stalactites. So if you come back in another 1,000,000 years and take a tour with me, we'll see if they grew another 1/2 inch. Now where there are stalactites, there should be stalagmites. It's not, the water is not dripping onto a flat area where the stalagmite can build up, but you got hundreds and thousands of these little stalagmites growing all over here. This whole wall is all calcite flow. All calcite. Still unexplored shafts in the back. Now look at all this guano on the ground. What do you think that's from?
Bats.
Nope. Bats is fine like sawdust.
Oh.
In another 20 feet, you'll be able to diagnose what animal that came from. What animal did that come from?
I don't know.
It's a quill from a porcupine.
Oh, wow.
It's all porcupine scat here. Porcupine, people don't realize, but they're incredible climbers because they used to go up, come in and out of that 8-foot high cavern up there. That shaft is unexplored, but it goes up 60 feet in elevation, and it takes you 120 feet to the outside.
And that shaft there?
No, the one right up here.
No, I mean, have you explored that shaft?
Dead ends.
Ah,
Here we have a lot of calcite. Tons and tons and tons of calcite. You have the round bubbly stuff like botryoidal formations. You have small popcorn, big popcorn. You have dog tooth calcite all over the wall here. And even a wooden ceiling. But the next wooden ceiling's worth the photo. The ceiling is something you don't see in every mine all the time. They take 4x4s and lay mesquite branches over that. Then they put burlap on top of that, so miners walking where you and I are standing wouldn't have dust or rocks coming down on their head. I'm telling you, these guys from 150 years ago were incredible.
even the dust has it. It's amazing.
And when you come out to the opening, you got a nice 500-pound piece of silver ore sitting there waiting to be taken and processed. The cavern right here goes down 50 feet. And when I rappelled down there to see what was there, I found out that 25 feet below the shaft that we just walked out on is another shaft. When I was down there, I found a 3-inch dinosaur tooth. Unless you get off your seat and start looking in the desert, you don't have a clue what you're going to find. When you see what I have down in the shop, the minerals, the cut-off gun barrels, sawed-off shotgun barrels, octagon barrels that I found outside, all you got to do is look, and nature just gives it right back to you. It's incredible what you can find out here. Now we're going to go up the hill. What an incredible day.
So this shaft goes all the way back to the furthest cavern we were in, correct?
Yes.
That's amazing. That's truly amazing. Oh, I'm above your head on that. And that's the way out. In the region. There we go.
All these roots grow in here. My understanding is, and there's a lot of roots, my understanding is that some roots grow down 40, 50 feet below the surface. So I'm assuming if I would blast a hole on a slight angle, go up 60 feet, I would reach the surface. if I would go back a little further and blast up.
No mishap there. Don't worry. I'm still alive. Yeah, no problem.
This is calcite growing, and most people don't like calcite because it's so common. I don't know if you can see that, but this is crystals growing straight out of the wall. With little pins and needles right there.
Oh, now I can. That's amazing.
Just another form of calcite.
All of this is just amazing. Close-up views, people.
What's that?
Oh, this is a beautiful picture right here. It's really showing the different crystallines growing straight out and such. Just amazing.
When people come up here, I give them a 5-gallon pail, hammers and chisels, and like all the other tours where they don't let you touch the rock wall, I give you hammers, chisels, a 5-gallon bucket, and say, go ahead, hammer off what you want, specimens off the walls, and take it home. Just know that I'm not schlepping it out of here. You can have whatever you want, but you take it out of here.
Now we're headed back to the ladder.
A few months back, some people were over here, and he said, you mind if I explore that cavern up there? I'm like, what cavern? Well, there you go. They climbed up in that, and they found some nice, beautiful minerals. I probably, I'm going to say, maybe 40, 50 different places like this. Caverns to check out, places to go. What you're looking at right there is calcite. And this is calcite, this ugly brown stuff. This was deposited here, the brown stuff, 300 million years ago when the entire West Coast was under an ocean. This calcite is also interesting because it's the clear, milky, which is typical of calcite. Over hundreds, thousands, millions of years, water has leached through all the limestone bedrock and deposited this calcite on this wall. I don't know how long ago, but before I got here, this was covered over in that brown calcite deposited 300 million years ago. Somebody took it down looking for minerals behind the rock wall, and they discovered this beautiful calcite on here. In a pocket right there, some beautiful irie calcite minerals.
It may not come out on the video, but all the different sparkles that I can see with the naked eye may not come out on video, but it is just amazing.
It truly is.
And then that ceiling is just amazing.
Right up here, there's a whole big vein of chalk. And people go, what do you mean chalk? I said, where do you think chalk comes from? Staples? Office Max? This is naturally occurring native chalk. Kids play tic-tac-toe with it on the rocks. Now, in order for you to get into the next cavern, You're going to walk down there 20 feet, and there's a ladder. Go up the ladder 3 feet and go into the cavern on the right.
Okay.
And before you do that, catch me. I will meet you there, but get me going up through here.
Yeah.
Into that. This is something we offer for the more adventurous people. So here we go. I will meet you in the next cavern. Okay, I'll see you in the next cavern.
And here's the one.
I see white. And this is coming through on the other side of the cavern. I got some treasures for you.
It's amazing to see the old timber still sitting in here.
Yep. And this is what we found. There's a big vein of blue opal and white opal. And you look at it and it looks waxy. You touch it with your hand and it feels waxy. It's opal. White opal, brown opal, blue opal we have here.
That is just incredible. I love the veins going through it as well.
I have some stuff for you back at the shop that was polished, stabilized, and cut. If you want to take any of this back with you, you're welcome.
Okay.
Because that's what people do. Stuff like that, that's probably a $200 piece right there. Somebody's going to cab that up into 30 or 40 different designs.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing. And this is what it looks like. If you didn't know, just sitting there on the wall. And like you said earlier in the video, look what was behind all that. It's beautiful.
Look over here, all this blue opal.
I'm going to set that down so I don't...
Now those specimens will come out and they'll be available for sale for somebody who wants to do jewelry. Make Capicons, whatever you want to do out of it. That's all premium grade opal right there. Doesn't look like much till it's polished.
Yeah, it's amazing. And would that be an opal vein?
The blue opal at the bottom there,
yeah.
And there's sulfur off to the left. Yes, that's exactly what that is.
Okay.
This is one of the many caverns in the vault room. The vault room's more like a labyrinth. One cavern goes into the next, into the next, into the next, into the next.
It's definitely beautiful in here. And then this is
just rocks. Rather than take it outside, they create these little gobbings, they're called, mining terminology, G-O-B-B-I-N-G-S. They build rock walls to hold back all the overburden that they don't want to take out to the top.
And again, is that more opal right there on that ceiling, right above the rock pile?
That's well, yeah, deteriorated. That's oxidized blue opal, which means it's been exposed to the atmosphere for 150 years. But back here, I'll throw the rock up there. There's a whole vein of white and blue opal up there.
Okay.
Which can be taken out. If it's oxidized, and you can have oxidized silver and gold And everything else, it's not worth anything because it means air has taken all the humidity out of it. It becomes very lightweight and there's nothing you can do with it.
And this is oxidized.
Yes.
Opal.
You can break it apart with your finger.
As opposed to the stuff we looked at earlier.
Which is in good shape, yeah. The stuff we looked at earlier, you can stabilize and make jewelry out of it.
Yeah. I like to be able to, you know, to be able to show the difference between how grainy and rocky,
Right.
as opposed to how smooth and beautiful
Yep.
non-oxidized opal is. You see all the different types of minerals and such just floating around us.
And we'll go into the next cavern now.
Back the way you came, or the back?
Nope. Out this way. This will take us into the next cavern, into the next, into the next. Come on this way.
Ah, we're going up. Ooh, that's a little loose. Yeah.
Look at all the arid chalcite all over the walls here. It just
Oh,
burns right
wow. It's amazing.
See that white spot on the ceiling? I was rock hounding with a guy for 6 months. We pulled out 20 flats of beautiful arid chalcite samples. Said, I'm going to take to the show and make 4,000 bucks. Comes back from the show, didn't have any money. Said the dealers would only give him $20 a flat. In the process, there was a solid piece of arid chalcite in that ceiling, which is unheard of. That could have been a $25,000 specimen up there in that white opening. When I came back the next week, the guy I was rock hounding with stole that. Came out and dug it out. And that could, like I say, that piece 2 inches by 5 inches by 8 inches, solid aqua blue arid chalcite, that could have been $25,000. You have stuff laying around all over, newspapers. You got 150-year-old candles sitting here. Stuff just laying out all over.
Now, what type of rock is this?
Well, this is what we showed earlier, first coming down here. This color is arsenic, obviously the poison. The red is a different type of toxic material. This is cinnabar, you can see.
Ah, okay. They use
That's a mercury-based poison.
so, but in ancient Egypt, they used cinnabar as makeup
Absolutely.
and for paints and such.
Yeah, absolutely. The Indians used it too. Native Americans used it all the time.
So I'm guessing in small amounts it's all right.
Well, don't suck on the little red rocks, kiddies, because it'll kill you. Yeah, touch it with your hands like that. I'm not worried about that.
And then this stuff, it's got some black and...
That's basically limestone, offshoot of that. But everything in the vault room just glows. That's all calcite over there.
Yeah, everything in here is glittering.
Yep.
I wish there was a way the camera could pick it up.
You know, that would be $1 million investment for that kind of equipment. We're going back around into the next cavern here. Just follow me.
Still can't believe that somebody stole from you. That's just kindness out of your heart to let them come into mine, helping stuff, do things. And then he just turns around and...
Well, I never got 4,000 bucks for the samples either, so that was a double header right there. But don't worry, out here things are handled when that happens.
Wow. So beautiful.
Now, all this gold colored stuff is gold bearing ore. You could take it out, put it in a sluice and pan it.
The stuff that's kind of a yellowish brown?
Yep,
And then the stuff that's more of a reddish brown is...
that's arsenic.
Okay.
You can see it in that pocket right down there, that big pocket.
Oh, it's got a bunch of different colors.
Yep.
Let's see if I can get a closer view. Oop. Look at all that. Incredibly beautiful. Oh, here's a paper.
1973. I'll put my light out because I have a UV light here. When you turn your light out, we'll see what glows. There's some nice orange in there, blue. Some of the orange like that, it's so bright it looks like it's lava coming up out of the ground. Nice orange colors through there. Even the ground has everything. It fluoresces different colors. But look how bright the colors are. It's incredible. Now this is not fluorite. Fluorite is a natural rock that fluoresces. I don't know what explanation to give you on this because it looks like just junky rock, but it still fluoresces. Here's a 150-year-old candle that was left down here. And for the more adventurous, like you saw me go from one cavern to the next, this cavern's about 100 feet long. This will take you out of the mine shaft here. You think you want to go down there?
Nope.
Okay. That takes you to the bottom or the top of the stope that was 40 feet high.
Oh, the one from right where the mine cart ended.
Yep, exactly.
It's amazing up in here. And you're right, it's like a maze. If you don't know your way around.
Well, let me tell you, the first half dozen times my butt was up around my throat. I was like, how did I get in here? How do I get out of here? Whenever you go into a mine, you always take 2 cans of orange spray paint. Why 2 cans? Because one of them's going to fail you. You always need backups for backouts living out here. And now we can head back.
It's just amazing.
And for somebody that's never done this before, it's just almost unimaginable what the miners did 150 years ago. Watch your head over here.
And it's amazing that this entire, the section we've been in for the last 10 minutes or so is natural. It wasn't blown to pieces. It wasn't mined this way. It's just a natural occurrence.
Look at this other RHL site in the face of the rock.
Wow.
It's just tons of RHL site in here. And again, before I got here, this mine was raped and pillaged for 50 years. People coming on property and coming down and stealing the stuff. And as we know, being a U.S. patented mining deed, anybody that removes one rock without the owner's permission, it's a federal felony. You'll just walk your way down here backwards. This is the same ladder that you used to go into that cavern where all the blue opal, white opal was.
All right, for safety reasons, we're going to stop this here at the minute, and then we'll pick up later.
We're going to go up. We're at the 400-foot level now. We're going to go up into the vault room. I call it the vault room because that's where all the good minerals are, as you'll see. Come on up.
There it is. Right
We're down at the 400-foot level, rather. Looking at some nice veins of green quartz in there. You also have calcite growing all over. calcite up here is from 300 million years ago, and this was deposited over the ages. When you have little round bubbles, it's called botryoidal formation. This opening in here is called a vug, V-U-G. And it's very common to see this botryoidal formation in calcite as well as malachite.
My foot slipped. It's amazing. Now, is that an original can?
Yes. I don't know what they had in there, but we find a lot of this kind of stuff around.
I guess miners had to eat too, huh?
Well, out and back across the road from me was the original assayer's office.
Oh, okay.
First year I found 14 pounds of rusty nails. Then I found size of my pinky nail. A silver coin that says Sweden, 1859.
Oh, wow.
And since then, I found a lot of other coins from the 1900s, late 1800s. Also found a foot of dirt at the assayer's office, the original mortar and pestle, which we can show you when we get back to the shop.
Now, the wood beams that are holding up that
Right.
big rock in the center, is that holding that big rock up? Or
No, they put that there as a safety device.
And then these look like the original miner ladders.
These are, and I replaced it with a newer one, and I always put the dates on the wooden ladders. I prefer wood as opposed to aluminum because you heard how clanky it was getting up and down that with the rocks falling.
And how many shafts are currently in your mine?
Jeez. I'm going to guess say maybe 3 dozen.
Wow, that's a lot.
There's probably half a dozen which are still unexplored.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Every time we come here, somebody says, "Oh, can I go up in that cavern?" My response is, "What cavern?" "Oh, up there," and I'll show you one when we go up to the top. Up here, this is entering the vault room. You go up the ladder into the vault room. From this point on, the vault room is all natural cavern. There was no blasting going on in there.
Oh.
So the walls, the ceiling, everything will look a little bit different.
All right. That looks like fun. That sounds like. Are we going there next?
Yes.
Oh, sweet.
Actually,
This is the
go down to the very end.
little ladder.
You just use that nice little 150-year-old step ladder right there. It's pretty convenient.
It is.
Instead of going up here next, we're going to go down to the deadhead. I'll explain to you what the deadhead is, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. Oh, I can take those gloves back.
Beginner thing. We're at the 400-foot mark right now, going down to the end. 450-foot decline shaft or incline shaft. There's a deadhead down there. There's a drift to the right, to the left. When we go back there, I'll explain everything to you. And now we're just going to go down here another 50 feet to get to the bottom. That's it. That's all you got, folks. 150 feet at the end of the main shaft. And again, one of the most unique things is the ore veins follow the main shaft, follow the rock strata from top to bottom. That's a freak of nature in any kind of mine. I've never been in a mine before where that happens. We're sitting at something called a deadhead. It's a heavy wooden structure. And you can see underneath there the different shapes of wood. When the ore cart came slamming down because of the cable snapped, it would slam right into that. That shape of wood down there is a mirror image of the end of the ore cart. So the ore cart would hit that, it would stop, they reconnect the cable, they take it out of here. The other unique thing about here, this deadhead has the main track coming up 3 feet below the cross track. And it only makes sense, a blind man could see it makes sense, because you bring your cart in from the right drift or the left drift, you turn it 90 degrees and you dump it into your main cart. You ring the bell and they take it all the way up to the top. 998 out of 1,000 that my friend has seen. He has 20 years experience going into over 1,000 mines. This main track stopped right here And I thought that was kind of moronic because that means everything that you have in the ore carts here, you have to manually unload into the ore cart going to the top, as opposed to turning it 90 degrees, dumping it into the ore cart, ringing the bell, and letting it come out of here.
And this is all granite?
No, this is all limestone.
Limestone. Okay.
Yeah.
And what is the writing?
That's mine graffiti. That's in every mine you see it. All that black mark is the carbon that was come off of a carbide lamp.
Okay.
Carbide lamp, they would unscrew the bottom, put little 1/8-inch black balls in there, carbide. They put water into there. Water and carbide create acetylene gas. They'd strike the little Zippo striker on the top, and it would have an actual flame, and that's what they used for mining.
And then,
nowadays, we're much more fortunate to have these beautiful bright headlamps.
and you also found a fuse from back in the day.
These remnants are scattered all over. I find old dynamite, which is inert, meaning you can't harm anybody with it. We find fuse, we find blasting caps. I make sure that the detonation charge is taken out of the blasting cap before we use it for display purposes. But I've actually found dynamite down here from Apache Powder Company. They're still in existence in St. David, except they don't manufacture dynamite anymore. They manufacture ammonium nitrate. Ammonium nitrate is the #1 explosive used in the entire world for mining. It's the safest explosive used in the world. But we find remnants of all kinds of stuff. Like I say, the dynamite, the blasting caps, and the fuse. Tons of that stuff in all the mine here. And I've been down 600 feet and well over 100 mines in the immediate area here. There's some things I need to tell you about over here. Nice $1,000 wind beam. If you know anybody building a custom house, want a beautiful fireplace mantle. 150-year-old hand-hewn center cut beam, 8 by 10, 10 foot long. Beautiful piece of wood.
And this is the right side of where we just left.
And the drift to the right, correct. The people that come in on the weekends, explore mines, usually come in unprepared, no flashlights, no helmets, no lights, things like that. And they find things not knowing what they are. People would say, there was nothing down there but a broken broomstick holder. Well, that's not a broken broomstick. That's a pusher. It was 8 feet long. They would drill holes in the wall for dynamite. 6-foot drills. They put the first first charge in there, your first stick of dynamite with the blasting cap and fuse running out, and you would tamp it all the way to the back. You would do the same process with the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth stick of dynamite. So people see the stuff not really knowing what it is. Now, minor terminology of this remnants of the blast hole is called a bootleg. You'll see wooden stakes throughout the entire mine system of shafts. There's a device called the Tommy sticker, which you'll see in the other room, which holds candles, and we're going to actually turn out the lights and you'll see what it looks like in the dark. But you could take the Tommy sticker and jam it in a fracture of a rock, or they have a hook on there, and all I had to do is put the hook on there, light the candle, and you're good to go. Now I'm going to introduce you to Harvey Javelina. People come down here and they see Harvey and like, oh my God, what was he doing? Was he mining? Obviously not. Harvey definitely was chased by a predator, whether it be a pack of coyotes, bobcats, mountain lions. Something scared him to come down here because this is not what they normally do. And the saddest thing that I can think of, it looks like his last meal was a can of sardines. That's terrible. For my last meal, I'd want some chicken parmesan and a nice
It's amazing
sweet
how
peach wine.
it's amazing how well preserved.
Oh, everything
is
is dry down here.
So that's very interesting that it's as well preserved as it is.
I'm going to say 25% of the mines you visit, if you go down to the bottom of it, you're going to find animal bones and carcasses down there.
That's awesome. Oh, this is the end.
Now, when they stopped And the ore vein stopped, then they stopped. They went to find another location where they could take out silver. Silver is what gets them up in the morning, and that's what pays their bills.
So they would chase a vein,
Yep.
and then if they lost the vein, they'd stop
Right.
going that
exactly.
route.
Now, certain people have different ideas about how to get to a vein. The mine across from me is 400 feet straight down. They drilled and blasted 1,400 feet, solid rock. Now, it's going to take 90 sticks of dynamite to blast an opening 4 foot wide, 7 feet high, and 5 feet deep.
Wow.
Divide 5 into 1,400, and that'll tell you how much dynamite they used to blast that. They were looking for a silver ore vein 400 feet underground, and they blasted 1,400 feet of shafts, and there was no silver ore vein. Just a waste of time and money, but you never know unless you go out and adventure on.
That's amazing.
One of the most amazing things to me, I mean, you see more bootlegs in the wall, the remnants of the drill bits. It's got more wooden stakes all over. One of the things I find so fascinating is the track. I guarantee you the track's within a 1/16 of an inch of 18 inches because this is called 18-inch gauge track. But look at the symmetry on that. Nowadays, they'd have a 20-year-old kid on a CAD/CAM computer hooking in all the information in angles and degrees, and they would just hit a button and it would come out bent like this. But you see all that track in back of you. They bent all this by hand in position.
Wow.
These guys were fabricators, engineers, rocket scientists, designers, manufacturers. Everything was done underground.
It's amazing how well they did it.
We talked about the rock strata, the ham and cheese effect. This is a good sample right here. When we came down the main shaft, the rock strata went like this, and now it's going like this. There's 10 faults in just the small chief mine itself because the rock strata changes directions 10 different times. This 12-inch pipe here was an ore chute. Instead of building a wooden structure, they just took that up, pulled it up into the stope area, and just threw rocks down there, which came to the bottom. This is historically very, very important to see. This has been here for 150 years. This is an early warning safety device. If they ever came in and they found this lying on the floor, that means that the shape of the entire channel shifted, so proceed with caution.
Oh, wow.
Here's another good example of the rock strata. Whenever you see the cuts and seams, there's your ham and cheese. There's another beautiful piece of board I'm going to make a seat out of someday. One of the most important things people don't understand, they say, oh, look at all the dust and dirt on the wall. That's not true. You have to think beyond that. What is behind the rock wall? Now, this is one of the most incredible minerals there is. It's arid chalcite, and this mine is just literally filled, walls and caverns with it. This particular arid chalcite is, you'll see, lays down in a floral pattern because this was actually made hundreds of millions of years under pressure. And you can see somebody may have started seeing something, a little vein somewhere, and started hammering and chiseling until they broke the whole wall down. So the realization should be not look at the dirty wall. You should always ask what is behind the wall. Watch yourself stepping up on this steel mucking plate here.
And it's called a mucking plate?
Mucking plate, like the horse stalls.
Right.
And they muck the... This is a stope. A stope is a wooden structure. This particular one goes up 40 feet and goes down 20 feet. This piece of equipment right here is called a windlass. Basically, it's an old term for a winch. There was an 8-inch log that spanned this. There was a rope attached to that with a 2-foot ore bucket, and they had big steel handles on either side. and they would crank up the ore bucket. And you can see the ladder is permanently placed here because everybody sees this says the rungs are on the wrong side, but not for this application because you're dragging that ore bucket up and down all day long. You can see either side of the 2x4 is completely rounded out and chamfered because of the friction of dragging the ore bucket up and down.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of these windlasses in various mines, but everybody rapes and pillages, takes the stuff out that they can, so that's why the 8-inch log is missing here. Every mine in the world is held together with tapered wedges. If the piece you're putting up for support is 6 inches short, you put a couple pieces of slab board in there and you hammer the hell out of the
wedges.
Wedges, yep. We're going to show you what it was like mining 150 years ago. Now we have these big, beautiful lights. We're going to give it a minute or so, let the candles light. Then we're going to shut out our lamps. Now let's get our eyes adjusted for about a minute, and then you'll start to see me a lot better. Absolutely crazy.
That they did all this in
By
pretty much candlelight.
Now, in Tombstone is an incredible place. They have over 500 miles of shafts. Typically, they had a 10-hour shift, and a guy who was coming on to be a miner, they give him a hammer, a chisel, and 3 candles. Each candle lasted 3 hours. So if you're going 3, 3, 3, it's 9 hours. What do they do for the 10th hour? Hammer and chisel, hammer and chisel, hammer and chisel. Muscle memory. Now you can see me a little bit better. We're getting a little bit more lit up, but you can see how archaic and barbaric this was mining 150 years ago. And let's go back 5,000 years to Egypt. They were mining ores and metals back then too, and they didn't have candles. So they had to make use of mirrors to light everything up. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like pitch black. Without the light,
Yep.
You can't see anything. This is amazing. Thank God for technology.
Yep.
Makes it way bit easier.
The bats are hibernating right now, but typically another month or two you'll see bats just flying around there.
And how would they get in and out so easily? I mean, they're not going to come all the way like we did.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no other way in and out.
Oh, okay.
Up till yesterday, there was a couple small bats, little 2-inch bats, nestled up on a rock that were just hanging out there until the warmer weather. I'm going to show you a video of bats. That's another way right there getting up to the vault room. Oh, the vault room because that's where all the good stuff is.
And then how far back does this right angle go?
Maybe about 100 feet and then dead ends.
Okay.
I'm going to show you this video. You have to come in close to see it. I went into a mine around here and didn't realize at the time, it was the first week in September, that this was the migration route of the bats leaving Arizona going to Mexico. When I click on that, you're going to see over 1,000 bats in a 40-foot high cavern. The black blotch is 1,000 plus bats.
Wow.
The second week I came back, there was 500 bats. Third week I came back, there was 12 bats, all migrated to Mexico. Is that absolutely amazing?
Yeah. It's amazing that they huddle so closely together.
Yep.
Just amazing. And I noticed there's like a little catch here and then one a little further up. Were they up mining both sides as well?
Well,
Or
this basically goes straight up 40 feet into the vault room. And when we go up to the vault room, you can look down on this.
oh, okay. All right.
Oh, before we go anywhere, let me give you insight to what the mucking plate was for. When they would blast, they'd go up against a solid rock wall like this, and they would put that steel mucking plate on the bottom right here. And they had 15 holes, very specific angles that they had to do with 6-foot drill bits. And they didn't have the sophisticated technology we do nowadays with splitting nanoseconds for demolition charges. So they have to cut the fuse a ½ inch, 1/4 inch, 3/4 of an inch short, depending on the way they wanted the demolition to work. So they put the shorter fuses in the bottom, and then medium, and then longer fuses in the top. They wanted the bottom to blow out and down onto the mucking plate, because it's a lot easier to use a shovel on a steel mucking plate than pick that shovel up off of natural ground. It's 20 times faster with a mucking plate.
Ah, okay.
The story of dynamite is Albert Nobel in 1865 created dynamite. Nitroglycerin was highly unstable at the time, as it is now, but Albert Nobel found that if you take wood pulp or sawdust and you put the nitroglycerin in there, wrap it up in a cardboard hull with wax on it, you have now a stick of dynamite, which is 100% safe. The dynamite that I have found here, again, it was Apache Powder Company. I called the Apache Powder Company, talked to the 50-year historian there. I said, I got some 100-year-old dynamite. He goes, no, you don't. Like, matter of fact, I got 12 sticks of dynamite. No, you don't. Had to physically take it there, and he would see that this was an empty hole. All the wood pulp, all the nitroglycerin, because brand new manufactured dynamite only has a 1-year shelf life. So use it or lose it. Other than that, potential of the nitroglycerin weeping out. And when it weeps out and looks like it was rained on, that's when it's highly, highly dangerous. You just look at that and that'll go off. So getting back to this, they had 15 holes, 6 feet long, and a rule of thumb was you use 1 stick of dynamite for every 1 foot drilled. So you have 15 holes, 6 sticks of dynamite in each hole. That's 90 sticks of dynamite to blast an opening 4 feet wide, 7 feet high, 5 feet deep. Absolutely crazy what it takes to create these mines here. Something that very few people know. Coming out on a tour into one of the local mines here, the IDFK mine we call it, there's a pile of back guano. It's 100 feet long, 6 feet high, and a couple guys were coming out of that cavern and said, there's nothing back here but back guano. I said, that's really cool, it's interesting. And he goes, it's back guano, dude. What are you getting excited about? I said, if you knew the history on back guano, you'd be excited too. Apparently 150 years ago, some miner scratched his head and he says, I wonder what happens if I mix 50% back guano in with our black powder. Now, they used to make their black powder if they didn't have it available. You naturally mine potassium nitrate, naturally mine sulfur. If you needed powdered charcoal or powdered filings, steel filings, you'd see a blacksmith. 3 of those ingredients make up black powder, which is the same as gunpowder, but it didn't have a real explosive yield like dynamite or ammonium nitrate fuel oil. ANFO is the industry term for that. So when he mixed 50% back guano in with that, it tripled the explosive force of the gunpowder. And why is that? It's very simple and it's logical. Because back guano is fertilizer. Ammonium nitrate is fertilizer. Ammonium nitrate's the #1 explosive used in the world. So that's why it tripled the explosive force. And, without me telling that, and nobody would ever know that. So just another story for the mining community. Let's head back down this drift.
Now, why did they call them drifts?
That's a good reason. That's a good question rather than not reason. They call them shafts, drifts. There's something called the winch, which is man-made or natural, a small shaft that goes down. Different parts of the world, different parts of the country have their own terminology. This is something very interesting over here. You look at these black marks here. And right in back of you, on the other wall, there's more black marks. Each one of those black marks, see that right up there?
Yeah, there's two here.
Okay, but over here.
Oh, yeah.
Each one of these black marks represents a full ore cart load that came out of this drift from the left. The marks on the other wall represent how many ore cart loads came out of that drift. It's basically, that was their abacus 150 years ago. That was their accountant. How many guys, how much dynamite, whatever else we needed, divided by how much money we made out of the silver ore that day.
That's amazing.
I'm going to head back up and we'll go up into the vault room.
This in front of us is a roller. And they would use it for the ropes to pull up the mine carts so it doesn't drag against the ceiling and cause damage to the ropes. And a lot of the wood in here is not structural, but it was meant to help with the rollers pulling up the mine carts, because this is a hard rock mine. So any of the wood we see in here has nothing to do with the structure. Correct?
Absolutely right.
Sweet. All right, now we're going to continue down a bit further. It's a pretty big site.
Yeah, it
Or vein.
continues to go up overhead.
It's like it goes on and on.
Yep.
It's amazing. And there's definitely lots of little...
I call this the breakfast nook. I usually have people sit in the back, take their picture, and welcome to the breakfast nook.
I love all that blue.
Yep.
Sweet.
Say hello to Captain Jack.
Hello, Captain Jack. A lot of nooks and crannies in here.
Oh yeah. I still have unexplored shafts. Here's a pocket you have to take a picture of. Amazing.
Oh, wow.
You ever see anything like that before?
Not this well defined.
Iron ore, silver ore, gold bearing ore, white opal, blue opal, chrysocolla, copper, malachite, sulfur, cobalt, manganese, hematite, geothite, and the list continues to go on and on and on.
It is simply amazing.
I love that purple color, that cobalt. Magnificent.
Yeah, that right there.
Yep.
All right. Let's stop it here.
Right here, this is calcite. Calcite is so common in caves, they call it cave bacon. We'll show you other types of calcite, but this was deposited here from 300 million years ago when the entire west coast was under an ocean. It comes in different colors, comes in different shapes. If Sybil has 12 personalities, calcite's got 1,000,000 personalities. We'll show you more as we go on. If you keep that rolling.
Yeah, it's on.
The Chief Mine is unique for many, many reasons. One of them is, if you know what rock strata is, people think it's just 5 million square or linear miles of earth. It's not. Rock strata is the way that there's layers, like a ham and cheese sandwich. At 2 points, 2 pieces of energized earth, 542 million years ago, it separated. One went under the other one. There was a subduction pushing that up. And that became the natural rock strata of every hillside in every mountain range in the world. Now, if you turn my hand, you're going to see this beautiful vein in here. The most unique thing about the Chief is that the main shaft, 450 feet straight down, follows the rock strata. Very unusual. And over here, this color blue, this pastel blue, is blue opal, but it's oxidized, which means you can scrape it off with your finger. We do have veins in the vault room where there are very good pieces of blue calcite as well as white calcite. Some of the bright colored yellow in there, gold color, is gold bearing ore. You have iron ore in here. This is silver ore. Silver ore is the ugliest material on the face of the planet. But back 150 years ago, they were pulling out 400 ounces of silver out of 1 ton of ore. 1 ton of ore is 3 feet by 3 feet by 6 feet. That's a pretty good yield. This color right here, that blood crimson color, is arsenic, as in the poison. People come out in tours and they say, some of their rock hound friends says, "Oh my God, you got a toxic rock, what do I do with it?" And they call me up, "What do I do with it?" I say, "Give it back to me." "Why, but it's toxic." "Are you sucking on it?" "No." "Then you don't worry about it." Anyway, we'll continue to tour. There's some incredible other spots down here we're going to show you. Down at the 110-foot level right now, we're going to go down with this ladder to the 125-foot level. This open area here was only 12 inches wide when I first got the mine 4 years ago. And I have little blasting charges and booster charges the size of my pinky. You drill a 3/8 inch hole, you put them down there, you hit the igniter, and I was able to blast 6 inches of bedrock off the wall at a time, opening up to where it's 3.5, 4 feet wide. Just part of the everyday mining that we do here.
Get some of the view. The mineralizations. And that's the opening, way up there. More to follow.
Bob Miller here again. We're going to show you the descent. The first 20 feet is really the toughest, but most people laugh about it after they do it. So here we go. Going into the Chief Silver Mine, going down 650 feet. That's the roughest part there is.